Moonlight, in the sky, you say, popcorn, moonlight, in the sky, you say, popcorn.
Hey everyone, welcome to our review of Glory Road for Get Your Popcorn. Joining me is Aris. How are you doing, Aris?
I'm doing phenomenal. Just watched a awesome movie I haven't watched in probably like 2 or 3 years, so it was nice to get back on that and rewatch that movie that I felt like was pretty well done. So
yeah, it's been a long time since I've seen this movie. I think the last time I saw it was when it came out in theaters in 2006.
yeah, for the longest time I always got this one and Coach Carter mixed up, like the names of it. For some reason I thought like Coach Carter was Glory Road and Glory Road was Coach Carter. But now like I've watched them enough times that I know the difference. But yeah, when they first came out, like I don't know the time frames on when they actually came out, like when Coach Carter came out, but for some reason I would get them mixed up. So now fully aware of which one's which. So don't get mad at me comment section, but yeah, I mean, it's a pretty good movie.
So I'm living here in El Paso, Texas, and when this movie came out, it was big because we've only, actually before 2006, there wasn't really any movies made about El Paso or made in El Paso. Probably in recent years, the biggest movie that was filmed here, I think, was Sicario. That's about it. But yeah, I remember when this movie came out, everybody flocked to the theater because it was the first time that we've actually seen like UTEP being filmed in a movie and like actual actors like being there at UTEP. So it was pretty refreshing and pretty crazy watching this movie, and you see shots of the mountains, the Franklin Mountains, you see shots of UTEP, and they even show the Don Haskins Center, but you don't actually see the Don Haskins on it because when you go to UTEP and you go to the Don Haskins Center, it'll be in giant letters, and you actually don't see the letters, but it was really cool seeing that, and it's been a long time since I've seen this movie. So for anybody that doesn't know, Glory Road is based on a true story. It's about Don Haskins, and before he became a college basketball coach, he coached a women's high school women's team. And back then that was looked down upon. So Don Haskins was hired by Texas Western to lead a new basketball team. But Don Haskins doesn't really... Back then, he was the coach that only saw talent. He wanted the most talented team, and he didn't see color. Back then, everybody saw color over everything. So he was recruiting basketball players from all over, mainly from New York, mainly from the east side of the United States. And he got really good African-American players. And on top of that, he mixed them with some Caucasian players too. What I thought was significant about this movie was the whole racial theme of the movie, because this was back in the 60s. So yeah, Don Haskins pretty much leads them to the national championship. That's about it for Glory Road. Aris, what was your favorite part of the movie? Or what was your favorite parts?
So the favorite part is like when they all go out to that house party and the girl asks
that part's really funny.
The girl asks, "Hey, what's your friend's name?" He's like, "Oh, that's Big Daddy," talking about David Latin, not the guy from Albuquerque with the big old glasses. And she walks right past David Latin. He's like all suave and everything, like, "Oh yeah, this girl's about to come to me." And no, she picks the white boy out of the group, the big tall white boy, and then they start dancing. And then he just has, that white boy dance, like just can't really hit the beat, nothing like that. He's just like, that's probably the best one. And then the other scene that I really liked is when they're outside on the patio at that same party, and they're trying to explain to him what bad means.
Yeah,
bad is bad. They're like, no, bad is good. It's like, no, bad's bad. Like, if something's bad, that's bad. It's like, no, if we're saying something's bad, like, that's good. So like those parts, like the little the little parts where they're trying to like actually get to know each other and start to come together as a team, like those parts are really funny for the comedic relief for a pretty serious social statement that the movie was, trying to present at the time with segregation.
Yeah, segregation, and everybody thought like, oh, African Americans are nothing, they're not going to do anything. But my favorite part has to be when Don Haskins It's in the last bit of the movie where Don Haskins is in the restroom and he hears everybody from the Kentucky team, including John Voight, which was Adolph Rupp. They're all talking about the black players that they're not going to win and who wants to see Negroes play. And they even say the N-word. And like, I love that part because Don Haskins is like pissed. Like, he's like, how dare you like talk about my team like that? And then right after that, Don Haskins, to me, this part was like really powerful and awesome because he told his team, he said, okay, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to play 5 African-American players. And this has like never been done. But what was cool about it was you can tell that the white players really wanted to play because the white players felt like they were being overshadowed. I don't think they were because they were still an essential part of the team, but they didn't want to be overshadowed by the African-American players. I like that part because the white players were just like, you know what? Like, it's fine. It's gonna hurt that we can't play, but you guys need to make a statement, and this like has to be done because it's never been done before. Those are 2 of my favorite scenes. It's just like, wow. So just because they're African American, you don't think they could beat you?
And then like the game where like the first game where they bring out the starting lineup, and then there's 3 African Americans, 2 Caucasian kids. They start with the 2 Caucasian kids, and there's a big cheer, and then they start naming the starting 3 African-American players. And there's like a pitter-patter of like applause. They're like, do we clap for these guys? Do we not cheer them on? But then like UTEP, like the Texas Western fans like got behind them. It kind of shows that winning does kind of cure all your problems. So, you know, once they started coming, you know, number 4 in the nation, number 2 in the nation, you know, they started getting up there. The Texas Western crowd was fully behind, you know, that team. They didn't care about color or anything. Like, at that point, they were just behind them fully because they were winning. So it just shows that, like, yeah, it doesn't matter what's really going on. If you guys win, you know, they can look past a lot of stuff. And in history, we can kind of shows that, like, a lot of problems with teams and stuff like that. If they're winning, you can kind of look past some of their downfalls and like character and stuff like that. So, you know, it kind of embodies the time then, and it still kind of shows like the times now where if your team's winning, you do look past a lot of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. There's another really funny part. I love the part when Neville Shed is in the cafeteria and the cook asks him, do you want nacho, taco, burrito? And he says, no, hot doggo. And he's all confused. And he's like, nacho, taco, burrito? And he said, no, I want a hot doggo. Like, it's just so funny. And then I don't know if you notice the part when they're eating at the restaurant and Neville Shed says, hey, get me huevos rancheros. And the other player says, are you sure you don't want to wait just to have that in El Paso? Like, when I heard that, I was like, you know what? I've said the exact same thing. El Paso makes really good Mexican food. Other than Albuquerque is probably the only other place that I'll have Mexican food at. Because I'm so used to El Paso Mexican food.
Yeah, you guys kind of get like the mixture of New Mexican food, which is its own type of food, and then Mexican food just because you guys are right there on the border. You're still so super close to us. So you guys are kind of like that melting pot of really good food. But I totally understand what you say when you're like, oh, no, like I have to only eat certain types of food here and there. Like right now, New Mexico is in a heated, well, not really heated because we don't really pay attention to them much. With Colorado, we're in a battle with Colorado because for some reason Colorado says they have better chili than us, which everybody knows like it's not the same. So it's like I feel what you're saying when you're like that part's pretty funny because it just kind of relates back to like they're getting into the system, they're getting indoctrinated into the food because food for especially for New Mexican culture is such a huge thing. I mean, if I go anywhere else and you know, I was in San Marcos, Texas, and we were getting a pepperoni pizza with green chili, and it was just chopped up jalapenos, and all of us were looking at it like, no, this is jalapenos. This isn't green chili. Like, you can't say that. So, like, food for us is such a big thing. It's such a big part of the culture, so I understand why you kind of related to that because it's shouting out, you know, your food.
Yeah, that part is funny. This movie is just really significant, especially with, like, times right now because racism is still big in the United States. Like, it's not as big as back then, but you still see glimpses of it. But this movie was just, it's just so good. And then, unfortunately, we wanted to do this review right on time for the NCAA tournament, and that got canceled. which sucked because I really wanted to get this review out like first day of the tournament.
But 2020 happened.
Yep, 2020 happened. This year is just getting worse. Oh my
By
God.
July, we're going to be War of the Worlds with aliens coming down and just killing everybody.
Honestly,
I wouldn't be surprised at this point.
I wouldn't be surprised if Terminator happened, to be honest.
It's so true.
Pretty cool facts about El Paso. They named the main basketball court at UTEP after Don Haskins. It's now the Don Haskins Center. When I graduated high school, it was in the Don Haskins Center. Every time I go to UTEP graduation, it's in there. They have all their big concerts there. I saw Blink-182 there. I've seen Khalid there. So Don Haskins Center, it's like the front and stage of UTEP. A lot of the players pretty much went around the world, but we had one player that stayed in El Paso. Actually, two players that stayed in El Paso. Yeah, we have Willie Cager. What's cool about Willie Cager is that he still does a lot of like cool things for the community. Every time there's a UTEP game, he's there. He goes to everything. He does a lot of fundraiser events. And there's one other player.
Was it Billy Joe Armstrong? Was he still there?
Oh, okay, it's actually Harry Flournoy.
Okay. Floyd or whatever.
Yeah, he unfortunately he passed away. He did stay in El Paso. Yeah, so I think there's still a good amount of players that are still alive today. But Willie Cager is the one that I know the most because he still tries to make it to every game. There's a lot of people here in El Paso that know him. Yeah, he's just a really good guy, man. And also, I still remember the day Don Haskins passed away. That was a huge day here in El Paso. So many people went to that funeral. They filled up the entire Don Haskins just for his memorial. They filled it all up, and that thing holds, I would say, about 3,000 seats or more. So they filled that whole thing up.
Because was all like 700 of his wins with UTEP, or was it with multiple schools for his college career? Yeah. All right, so he's a huge part of it. Then it's gonna be like, it's gonna happen because everybody dies. So like when Coach K, unfortunately does pass away, I guarantee you that stadium is gonna be packed to the rim with people because that. He's synonymous with that school now. So it's like him, like that school and USA basketball. That's really what you think of him as. Or Coach Gino with UConn. Like that's like they're kind of synonymous now. So that's probably how it was with you guys, Haskins and UTEP together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Another thing that I did like about this movie a lot was Josh Lucas, his performance as Don Haskins. Because I was reading a bunch of articles about him and the players said that he was a real like hard ass, and I got that with
Josh. Traded pretty well.
Yeah, Josh Lucas did a really good job because when the captain of the team was fooling around with that girl, Don Haskins was like, "Hey, are you in the game or not? Because if you're not, then we're just gonna cut you. Like you have to be in the game for the
basketball needs to be number one for you." Yeah,
exactly. According to these articles, they said that the practices were grueling and that Don Haskins wanted performances. He almost cut Neville Shed. And Neville Shed was a really important piece because Don couldn't rebound. Yeah, he couldn't rebound, and Don Haskins was like, "Dude, I'm not gonna have a wimp on my team." And like Don Haskins just went to his room and was packing up all of his stuff, and Neville Shed's like, "Dude, what the hell are you doing?" Like.
In the movie, they show that, and then, him trying to prove himself to his coach again, he gets elbowed by David Lattin, and he comes back with a baseball catcher's mask to continue practice to show that he's still tough and wants to be on the team. So it's like, I feel like they did portray a lot of the stuff. Like, I didn't read as many articles, and, you probably have a lot of, much more insight onto the history and everything being down there and whatnot. So, like, they did portray a lot of stuff, I'm pretty sure, pretty accurately, but in a funny way. Like, I'm pretty sure that didn't exactly happen. It came out with a mask. So, I mean, they do get their point across. I feel like they hit all of their social commentary points very well. Right along the same lines as like 42, Remember the Titans, like those types of movies where they portray. It is a sports movie, but there's a bigger picture of the social commentary with segregation and everything like that, racism. I feel like they hit those points really well.
Yeah, I did too. And then another thing that I thought was pretty cool was when they showed the Caucasian players. I don't know if you noticed this, but they weren't racist, but they were like so new to working with African American players that they didn't know like what to ask or how to react. Like because I heard that back then that did happen a lot. This is a crazy fact because I had a teacher in middle school that said that he was in the Navy during like close to the end of World War II.
Mm-hmm.
No, his father was in World War II, and he was saying that in World War II, when they had the African American soldiers, they kept looking at their butt, and the African American players were like, "Why do you keep looking at her ass for? Like, what's wrong with you?" And they said, "Oh, well, we heard that black people have tails." And they're all like, "No, like we don't." But like back then, they just didn't know. Like a lot of Caucasian people weren't trying to be racist. They just didn't know anything. Which
they were just ignorant. Like they
weren't
weren't
ignorant. Yeah. So I just thought that was pretty funny how they portrayed that in the movie. Like they weren't racist at all. They actually wanted to bond with them.
Well, yeah, there was a scene where they was asking him, do you like black or do you like colored? And
yeah,
then
exactly.
One of the guys was like, do we look like a load of laundry? So it's like you could tell like they were trying to bond, and there's just like some things where it's like, well, how do we go about this? This is new for us. We don't know. We're not from the South. We're not from the North. We're from, I think there was a guy there from Albuquerque, which is, Albuquerque's predominantly Hispanic. Like white people here are minorities. Like it's predominantly Hispanic. So I could see why they wouldn't know too much. We're kind of more of a Spanish culture than an American culture. So they're just like, all right, what would you like us to call you? Like we're trying to bond with you. We're trying to be cool with you. We're trying not to have any problems. Like we want this to work. So if you want to be called black, we'll call you black. If you want to be called colored, we'll be called colored. If you want to call African American, we'll call you that. And then just the part where he's like, do we look like a load of laundry? We're not colored. Like that part was pretty funny.
Yeah, that part was hilarious. It's just really cool that they portrayed that. A lot of the times, movies like this will just assume everybody's a racist, but this one was just like, no, they weren't racist. They just didn't know how to react. And it's like that one scene when Neville gets beat up in the bathroom and the whole team is riled up. Mm-hmm. And they're telling the other white players, you guys are crackers. And the white players are like, dude, we're not like them. Like we're your teammates. We're not like that. And like
Neville Shedd was getting beat up. We were right behind you trying to beat up the people who beat him up.
Yeah, exactly. I thought that part was cool because even the bus driver shared a bit of wisdom when he said, man, you guys are acting like this toward each other. This is worse than losing the game.
Yeah, and then like when they were playing the basketball with the lettuce in the cafeteria, he makes the comment of, oh, I guess Knuckleheads doesn't see color. It comes in all colors. Like, you guys are idiots. It doesn't matter what color you are. You're all idiots for doing this.
Now, was it just me, or was the bus driver the most woke person in this movie?
Super woke.
Dude,
I think I was just like, I don't give a fuck. Like, it's everybody. Like, we're all idiots until I say otherwise.
I just thought that part was funny because it's like, man, like he shared a really good bit of wisdom there.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, man. Let's get to it. What would you rate this movie?
So I'm gonna give it a solid like 4 stars. So I think in our rankings, that's a triple. They did a lot of stuff really well. Mm-hmm. It's not like the best movie I ever saw, so I can't really give it a 5-star. But like it's a very well done movie. They did a good job with their research. They did a good job with like their casting and everything like that. Mm-hmm. The acting in it was pretty good. It is a typical sports movie where you have some downfalls or whatnot. And at the end of the movie, it's hopeful and your team wins and everything like that. So it is a typical sports movie. So I do give it the 4 stars there, the triple.
All right, man. So I'm actually gonna give this movie a home run. Not because I'm from El Paso.
Nah, yeah, whatever. UTEP bias.
Not UTEP bias. Okay, I'm an Aggie, and Aggies and youth and Miners we have a rivalry, but I do like this movie a lot because of everything. Like, it was the biggest upset in NCAA history. It was the first time that they used African American players for college men's basketball, and it's crazy because at the end of the movie, they also said that Adolph Rupp, he recruited his first African American player, and they won so many games after that. I think he had the second best record after that. And then in 1997, they got the first African American assistant coach.
No, I thought it was head coach.
Oh, okay, yeah, head coach, and they won way more games after that. It just goes to show you that it's not about race. It's about talent and what you're willing to do with that talent. I really like this movie. It was really awesome watching it again because I hadn't seen it since it came out, and that was in 2006. So that was a long time ago. So I
think the only time I've actually watched this movie with actually going and seeking it before this was when it would be on TNT or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And you're just scrolling across and you catch it maybe 20 minutes in, or you catch maybe the last half hour of it or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this is the first time I actually went out and seeked to watch it, but I've watched it, numerous times, parts of it, a third of the movie, half of the movie or whatever. So it was nice to actually go and sit down and watch the whole thing without commercials and everything like that. So
yeah, for sure. So yeah, I would give this movie a home run. I really like this movie. I will have to say this though, out of all the movies that I reviewed so far, it does not beat Miracle. Miracle is just really good. I like that one a lot.
Miracle is really good. I love the coach's speech that he gives to his wife before the USSR game.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't care about the outcome. I don't care about, if we win, if we lose. I don't care if we get blown out, we blow them out. All I care about is that they leave every ounce that they have on this ice, and they have no regrets. If they leave this game with no regrets, then I did my part as a coach. That speech, resonates with me the most from that movie. So that's top 5 sports movie for sure.
Yeah, it's so good. All right, guys, so that concludes our review. I hope y'all enjoyed it. And if you like our content, please like and subscribe on YouTube. Make sure you download episodes through Spotify, Apple, iHeart, and also follow and subscribe on those. And please leave a review if you really like the Slump Buster. Please leave a review. But I hope y'all enjoyed the episode, and I wish you all a good day. And please remain safe out there. We know times are crazy. We just hope this content helps you during your quarantine or your stay-at-home orders. So please, everybody, stay safe and have a good one.